Good afternoon. Make sure that you are sitting in your assigned seat. Make sure you are sitting in your assigned seat. Everyone should be seated at this time. We're going to pause for just a second. If we have not yet taken attendance, we're going to do that now. All right. On Tuesday, we discussed how Harriet Tubman would use songs to alert slaves of her presence. She would sing outside of the slave quarters to let them know that she would be coming. And then another song would be sung to let them know that they needed to be ready to leave. There were lots of songs, these are referred to as spirituals, that were used in efforts to free slaves through the Underground Railroad. Remember, Harriet Tubman was not the only conductor of the Underground Railroad, but she is the one that we're currently studying. So we're going to read 3 songs today. You can see you've got on your paper 3 songs. And we're going to annotate them, annotate the questions like we always do, and then answer the questions. When you're finished, we're going to flip the paper over. You may use your notes for this portion, so you can go to the poetry section of your binder and get your figurative language foldable, as well as the notes that we use for international news, the one about the miners getting trapped underground, that has notes on the front of it as well. You will match the term to the definition here. Here, there is an example. You're going to identify what type of figurative language used and then provide an explanation. So, for example, the girl is as beautiful as a rose. This is a simile because it compares 2 things, the girl and the rose, using like or as. So the girl is as beautiful as a rose. Then at the very bottom, there is an excerpt from the poem On Turning 10. Those of you who have already done this assignment in Schoology, this will be familiar to you. So you're going to read through this. Any types of figurative language that you see, you're going to write them here and then explain what the poet means. Once again, those of you who have already done this assignment know what the poet was talking about, so this should be very easy for you. Okay. So we're going to flip this paper over. I'm not going to have you get your highlighters today because, to be honest, I just don't want highlighters flying across my room, and I want to make sure that all my materials come back. So for today, just use your pencil. If you have your own highlighters, you can use those. However, the class will not be getting up to get highlighters today. So at the very top, make sure right now that you write your name, period, and the date. I always tell you what you're doing at the top of the handouts. So we're going to analyze and draw a conclusion about the structure and elements of poetry. Remember that song lyrics are another type of poetry, okay? Song lyrics use rhyme scheme. They use alliteration often. And so we are going to read these songs the same way we read poems and analyze them in the same way. It says here that each question is worth 25 points each. These first 4 questions are worth 25 points. However, I went ahead and put these all on the quiz as well that's in Schoology, so it might be a little bit less than this that's here. The first song is called Steal Away. And this song communicates that the person singing it is planning to escape. So let's take a look at these questions. As used in the song, the word steal means. So what should I highlight here? Okay, I'm going to highlight the word steal. And then every time I see that word in the song, I'm going to circle that, okay? So I'm going to find that word steal. And I'm going to use this to answer question 1. I'm going to use that information to answer question 1. Next one says, which line best expresses the idea that the speaker intends to escape? What is the most important information here that I need to circle or underline or highlight so that I'm able to answer this question? All right, well, first thing we're going to look at is, it says which line best expresses, right? What does express mean? What does it mean to express something? If I want to express my feelings, or if I want to express that I'm angry, I might tell you, you need to sit down immediately. You're upsetting me. If I'm expressing these things to you, what am I doing? Hopefully you answered telling. To express means to tell. I would also accept to show. If you said explain, and express do have that beginning root, or excuse me, that beginning prefix. However, when you're explaining something, you're telling something. So same idea. Okay, so you're telling. And then what are we telling? What's the idea that we're telling about? What's the idea we're talking about? That the speaker intends to escape. Make sure your paper looks like my paper. Nobody's paper should be blank at this time. No one's head should be down. So we are expressing the idea that speaker intends to escape. So we're looking for the answer choice here that supports the idea that the speaker intends to escape. Next one, Sweet Chariot. If a slave heard this song, he would know he had to be ready to escape. A band of angels are coming to take him to freedom. The Underground Railroad, Sweet Chariot, is coming south, swing low, to take the slave to the north, or freedom, carry me home. This was one of Tubman's favorite songs according to Sarah Hopkins Bradford's biography, Scenes in the Life of Harriet Tubman. So let's take a look. It says the metaphor in lines 7 and 8 contributes to the sense of. What is the important, or what are the important words that need to be highlighted in this question? We're looking for lines 7 and 8 because that is telling us where our answer is coming from. The metaphor, what is a metaphor? Metaphor is comparing two things without using like or as. And then what does this word contributes mean? If you know that I'm running out of pencils and you say, Mrs. Barza, I brought you some pencils to contribute to the pencils that you have here, what are you doing? If you said adding, you would be correct. If you said donating, that's similar because you're still adding to what I have. But you're looking specifically for the word add. So to contribute means to add. So the metaphor adds to the sense of. It says lines 7 and 8, but I notice that my lines here are not numbered. So what do I need to do? I'm going to number all these lines. I'm looking for lines 7 and 8. So right here. And that is my question 3. Next one. We're talking about Follow the Drinking Gourd. This song suggests escaping in the spring. It also refers to quails, which are birds, which start calling to each other in April. The drinking gourd is a code name for the constellation or group of stars called the Big Dipper, which points to the north. Moss grows on the north side of dead trees. So if the Big Dipper is not visible, dead trees will guide them to the north. Why were they trying to get to the north? Why were they trying to get to the north? What did we talk about? Remember that. Here's my beautiful map of America. Slavery was in the South. Slavery was legal in the South. Okay? Remember, north is up and south is down. And no, I don't expect you to draw this little map of the United States that I have here. So the slavery was down here in the South. And so if you were trying to escape to the north, that meant once you got there, you would be free. That is until the fugitive slave law kind of changed some of that. So this constellation called the Drinking Gourd was pointing them to the north. So they would follow that star, follow that group of stars at night. If they could not follow that group of stars, another hint would be to look for the moss on the dead trees, because the moss only grows on the north side of the tree. And do not ask me why, because I do not know. All right, so now we are going to look at question number 4. The speaker uses imagery in the song in order to. The speaker uses imagery in the song in order to. Anytime they talk about the author or the poet or the speaker doing something, what is that? If they're using it in order to, is that a how question or a why question? Remember, look at that, in order to. Are they asking you how they structured the poem or why they did something in the poem? If you answered why, you'd be correct. So remember, anytime you have a why question, you're going to do what? I hope you said annotate the academic verb. So we have demonstrate, highlight, convey, and emphasize. What does demonstrate mean? What does demonstrate mean? If I do a demonstration for you, I am showing you. To highlight and to emphasize mean the same thing. If we look away from our paper, our eyes are immediately going to go to what is highlighted or to what is circled. We do this to get our attention. To highlight means to bring attention to. Convey means the same as demonstrate. Remember, I told you, get familiar with that word convey. The star loves the word convey. Convey also means to show. And emphasize means the same as highlight, which is to bring attention to. And yes, I expect you to write all of this because y'all really, 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 really need to know this vocabulary. So I'm going to give you just a second to make sure you've got all that. All right, before we move on, it says the speaker uses imagery in the song in order to. So they're using imagery. What is the root word in imagery that tells us what it means? Image, right? What is an image? What does an image do? An image shows us something, okay? It's something that we can see. So in other words, how is the speaker using the images in this text? And it will relate to what we talked about up here. So make sure that you pay attention to what is being said here and pay attention to how the song is being used, and that will help you to answer this question. Now let's flip it over to the back once more. In Schoology, on this vocabulary matching part, make sure that you read the answer choices very carefully. They will not match in Schoology. Okay? Don't copy these. Do not copy these answers all the way down. Now, you must answer them. You are going to answer these questions on your paper and you're going to use your notes so that you can remember what these are, so that you can review. We already talked about what a simile is. It compares two things using like or as. So I'll look here. We got simile. Down here, I see compares two things using like or as. Answer choice is C. You're going to do this, but when you go to Schoology, do not just copy these into the blanks, because Schoology, for some reason, makes the vocabulary questions random. So it's not going to be the same. It might not even be the same from person to person. So make sure that both of y'all, if you get an opportunity to work together, ensure that you read them very carefully, because your partner's screen might not look like your screen. Now, everything else, all of these other ones are going to match exactly. The only one that I keep seeing that's messing up is this one right here. So make sure you read the answer choices carefully. Read the answer choices carefully. I cannot stress that enough, because I keep getting people saying, Mrs. Sparza, I'm failing the quiz. And it's because they're not following instructions for this one part. I already told you how to do this, and I already told you how to do this.